All right, everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 125. Got Big Box Steve on the mic, got the Big Smooth. Taking a week off, coming back, a little vacation. Um, a lot of stuff happened in the last 2 weeks in college football and NFL. So we'll get into a lot of that. I can't wait to talk about that. My vacation kind of killed the keto challenge for me. Came back 5 pounds heavier.
Oh man.
Uh, Still down 18 pounds though, so
Oh, nice. That's still good.
doing pretty good on that. Which where are you at?
I haven't weighed myself this week. I wanted to just take a break from weighing myself every day because
Yeah,
I was at 15, then it went to it just kind of did a weird fluctuation. So I was like, I just need to take a week and then go back to it.
yeah, that's good. 15's good. I'm gonna I want to go hard till Thanksgiving. See if I can get close to that 200-pound mark.
And then gain it all back in
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
yeah.
and
And then you
Christmas.
come into the holidays, but it's going good so far, so that was great. So, but being on vacation or not on vacation, working, but still like it's hard to go to a hotel and have restaurants and things all around you and try to eat healthy. But still doing good. Got back, get lost up those 5 pounds right back in less than a week. So we're on track here. We don't have Wes here to tell us where he's at, which I'm guessing he's not in good. But you never know. Maybe we'll see.
All right.
So that's going good. But let's get into topics tonight. We're going to talk recap last couple weeks college football, last couple weeks NFL, talk a little fantasy football. So we'll get into that, and let's start out with the trivia though. You got some trivia. Let's.
Yep. Poor Steve has to deal with it
I
by
know
himself.
this is why I need Wes, but you know what? See how I do here.
Well, and this would have been perfect for Wes because Mike Evans scored his 100th receiving touchdown and then got hurt. So then Steve beat Wes in fantasy football.
That was so brutal.
There's only 11 players that have caught 100 career touchdown passes.
Oh, jeez.
Mike Evans is number 11 at 100. Who are the other 10?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jerry Rice,
Yep.
Terrell Owens,
Yep. Number 3.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Yes, he's number 6.
I would probably guess Marvin Harrison,
He's number 5.
Reggie Wayne.
Nope, not on the list.
Oh man, okay. So got Fitzgerald. Let's see. Oh, Chris Carter.
Yep, he's number 4. All he does is catch
Only
touchdowns.
does catch touchdowns. Randy Moss
Yeah, he's number 2.
at two.
So you got the top 6, so that's good.
And then Mayfield you said was 11. So I need seven, eight, nine, and 10.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. Um, geez. Why am I drawing a blank here? Let's see. I think James
Not
Lofton.
all, huh?
James Lofton?
No,
No.
not all are receivers.
Oh, Tony Gonzalez.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one more tight end and 2 receivers.
One more tight end, two receivers. Antonio Gates.
Yes. Now the 2 receivers both are tied with Mike Evans with 100. One was the first to get 100 touchdowns, and he was at the time the number 1 receiving touchdown leader of all time before Jerry Rice almost doubled it.
Right. Yeah, it's brutal. Oh man. Steve Largent?
Yes, Steve Argent with
Yeah.
100. And the last one, he's a Hall of Famer, a Heisman Trophy winner.
A receiver, huh?
Yeah.
Tim Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has 100 also. Yes,
Nice.
Jerry Rice has 197.
That's so crazy.
So basically, Mike Evans has to,
He has to do his whole career over again
yeah,
to catch Jerry Rice. That's insane. Um, yeah, touchdowns a little bit easier than some of the other stats,
yeah,
but not bad, not bad.
yeah, he did pretty well. Yeah, Rice is has 40, am I at? 41 more than second place. That's like 4 seasons.
Well, yeah, we've been talking, we've talked about this a few other times, but you look at people, and some of the new guys, even like the Justin Jeffersons and the guys you think that have had these great starts to their career, like they got to do that for another 15 years at that high level, and it's
Yeah,
because, people are going to fall off. Like Antonio Brown, he was one that was on track before, he went off the rails.
right.
But it's really hard to think about any of those guys doing that. I don't know if you had to pick like a one of the young receivers just coming in the league lately. I mean, obviously Justin Jefferson, but he's been injury prone a little bit.
Yeah.
Like who else of these young guys do you think? Now, obviously, probably won't beat Jerry Rice ever, but could come in that.
Yeah, I am because Chase has been injured too.
Right.
Um, it's hard to say because you think about it, like Mike Evans is like
The most
so
consistent.
consistent, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely the most consistent over the last 10 years, right?
Right. And
Some of these young guys, I think is going to be really good is Malik Neighbors.
yeah.
If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to have a really good career.
Yeah,
Um,
so here's the thing is Justin Jefferson's in his fifth season. That's crazy to think, right? That he's in
right.
his fifth season.
That is kind of crazy.
He has 35 touchdowns. He's not,
Yeah,
I
so he's
mean,
got to do, yeah, like 15 more seasons at the same level that he's playing at right now. But he had,
not even, no, not even, he would need more.
oh yeah, because that would only be 90, right? So if he did 15 more seasons, the same production, he'd only have, yeah, 105 plus 35. So yeah, you only have 140.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 20 seasons at his current production. He still would only have 140. That's wild. I'm surprised, I mean, I guess it's not super surprising, but Duper and Clayton, guys like that.
Well, because they were both together. And then
Right,
that's the thing is, like you said, Reggie Wayne, but Marvin Harrison got the touchdowns.
right. But
And then
they were
like,
close in yards, but
right,
our
Holt and Bruce,
right.
they probably split. You think about it, because Jerry Rice had what? Um, John Taylor most of his career, right?
Yeah.
And then he got Tim Brown.
Yeah. I mean, they had Brent Jones, it's a good tight end.
Right, Roger Craig, I know, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but still those numbers, I mean, that's just crazy. So I was looking at this stat for Derrick Henry, and since 2018, right, last 6 years. So he has the most yards rushing in the last 6 years since 2018. But the stat is that he has more yards after first contact than any other running back has total yards, rushing yards. So he has 9,000 some rushing yards total. But after first contact since 2018, he's over 7,000 yards. And like number two is like Nick Chubb at like 6,500 or something like that. So he has more yards after first contact than the next closest person does total.
Well, and that's what's crazy too, is like if you watched games against the Titan when he was at the Titans, he was getting hit in the backfield often.
Right.
That's why you'd watch the game and it'd be like 10 for 35 yards or, something crazy like that. It's kind of like the Barry Sanders effect. It was, you know, he'd be like 15 for 40 yards and then all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah, he
he's
busts out a
20 for
70,
150.
80 yard run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the other night's game, right? He wasn't
Yep.
doing great, and then he goes off for an 80 yard run. All of a sudden, he's got 122 yards.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was another one of those crazy stats. You think about that, but yeah, you're right. It is a lot like that Barry Sanders effect. Is when you're getting hit in the back, or backfield, or you don't have great blocking, and you're creating a lot of that on your own.
Right, because he can't get his forward motion going, and that's what he
Yeah,
needs. Like he gets the ball and there's already like a guy there. It's like,
yeah. Well, and he's facing 8-man boxes, and you're obviously your number one goal when you're playing Derrick Henry, especially who's on the Titans, was to stop Derrick Henry. At least with Baltimore, he's got more weapons and Lamar and other people to.
well, and you saw that because what they were pass happy early,
Hmm.
and that was because the Bucks were trying to stop Derrick Henry. So they're like, okay, we'll just throw it on you
Yeah,
guys.
well, that's how like Bateman gets open, for big catches, and Mark Andrews gets open and things like that. So that's a crazy stat though. He's on a good track though to have a really good season. If you look at his numbers, like he could technically come close to breaking the rushing record if he continues with his same stats.
Right. Yeah, because he's got an extra game too.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to watch that. Speaking of rushing records, let's switch over to college football. I don't. I mean, that's a tough rushing record, but Genty. I mean that Boise State. He's definitely on his way.
He's on pace to break it. And if you
Right.
think about it, he didn't play like three halves.
Yeah, and yeah, because he's sitting a lot after they get up. They're resting him, which is probably helping him, get as many yards every game as he does because he's getting some rest.
Well, like here's the crazy thing. Like, you did your bet and it was over like 185 yards rushing.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, he's gonna get that.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. I,
And he did.
after I put that bet in, I was like, yeah, that's kind of wild that you're betting on someone to go for more than 185 yards rushing, like 187 or something like that. But it's he's having that kind of year. Obviously, Boise State, their game plan is based around him, and so that helps too. They don't have particularly the hardest schedule in the world,
And their quarterback is not good.
right? But they're playing UNLV this week, right?
Yeah.
6-1 UNLV though. I mean, they're not horrible.
Right. But they give up
Yeah,
lots of
dude,
rushing yards.
he's got 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns already.
Did you see Travis Hunter like basically be like, he's okay. I'm,
But he doesn't play both ways.
he's like, he's not, I'm doing, he's just ever, he's just, I'm doing something more special than him kind of
Right.
thing. And like, people are like, what? He might break the rushing record. That's
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I get it. I mean, it's tough, right? What Travis Hunter is doing, but it's not spectacular like what Genty's doing.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
way
I know
different.
not to the same extent, but Charles Woodson did it.
Right. Yeah, he's
And
not
Woodson
he's
was
not the first
returning
guy.
kicks too.
Yeah. Hunter's not the first guy. And Hunter, he's not having like crazy games though either. He's not killing it at receiver. Like you're
Right.
really just playing receiver.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah, if you were putting up 200-yard receiving games, then you could talk. But I just don't think that he's. And for me, right now, I would say your Heisman leaders are Cam Ward and Genty. Genty in first, Ward in second, and
Correct.
Ward only because they just haven't really played anybody.
And they've been lucky a lot.
Well, they're squeaking by pretty bad teams.
Speaking of bad teams, this week they're playing Florida State,
Oh,
who
yeah,
is 1-6.
that's insane. And now they're still holding on to last year's playoff structure and things like that. Like I want to sue the NCAA, and it's like, yeah, you guys are 1-6 now, so I don't know what to tell you guys.
I'll be the first to admit I am not a fan of Florida State. I can't stand Florida State. But it also irritates me too, is like, dude, your guys' first national championship, Bobby Bowden won. He shouldn't have won that. They lost to Notre Dame
Right.
and won the national, and they gave them the national championship over Notre Dame when they had the same record.
Yeah.
How does that work? So don't talk about how unfair things are.
Well,
You
and that's
lost to a team, and then they have the same record as you, and you win the national championship.
we saw that a lot though back in when it was all of the polling and the voting.
Yeah, but they played head to head though.
Yeah.
A lot of other times it was like, well, maybe this. That one was like it was on the field they lost to Notre
Right.
Dame.
Yeah. No, I mean there's no reason for that, but there was plenty of times where we questioned, the voting throughout
Right.
those years. There was a lot of years where you're like, what?
Well, yeah, a lot of the Miami teams got screwed.
Hmm.
SMU got screwed just because they're not the types of people that they liked. They didn't like the thuggish mentality of Miami. They don't.
It's almost like, I mean, the SEC now has that same bias. They have a bias towards the SEC. Obviously, the SEC is good. They get a lot of the best recruits and a lot of the best players. But there's still a little bit of SEC bias out there right now.
Right. Well, that's just because they've won most national championships. I
Right.
mean, that's the thing is now it's head to head. So you know who's going to be. So you're like last year, okay, Michigan won. But before that, when was the last time anyone besides the SEC had won?
Yeah, it was just Clemson.
Yeah.
I think we've looked at that before, right? It was like outside of Clemson, I think it was always SEC, right?
Let's see. Yeah. Well, yeah, because as Ohio State won since,
They beat Oregon, right?
oh yeah, with Cardell Jones.
Yeah, I think they beat Oregon that one year. Was that the championship game though, or was that the first playoff?
I because because Oregon lost to Auburn in the national championship.
Right. Let's see,
Well, yeah.
NCAA
Well,
football
Ohio State
champion.
hasn't won since 2004. Yeah, they won the first college football playoff.
So the Big Ten's got two.
Yeah. And then Clemson has two. And then then Alabama has three, Georgia has two, and LSU has one.
Right.
But before that, you had the Jameis Winston Florida State, and then it was Alabama, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Florida, LSU, Florida.
That's a lot. That there is some dominance there, and so I mean you can make arguments for that. That's why the SEC teams get the the better rankings, and it's they drop less when they lose to another SEC team.
Right. Well, it's like Georgia is number 2 now.
Yeah, right back into the number two spot. Well, and that's kind of interesting. So I don't know if you've been watching all this. So Oregon, obviously being number one now, there's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, well, Georgia should be number one."
Oregon beat Ohio State. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and that's the tough part. It's like, look, you're undefeated. You beat a top five team, and Georgia has a loss against Alabama, who is now 15.
Right. Didn't look good last week. You know what I mean? They lost to Vandy.
Yeah. So I can see how like I mean that's a good Oregon is a good argument for being number one. Like
Right.
I get it. You may not be in the SEC, but until somebody beats them, I don't see how anybody could jump them.
Well, yeah, because besides, let me look here. Besides beating Texas, have they beaten anybody good?
Georgia?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, they lost Alabama. They beat Clemson start the
Oh, right.
season,
Clemson.
and Clemson's come on pretty strong lately.
Right.
So yeah, so that's a good win. But
Okay, so yeah, Clemson is a good win.
yeah,
Um, what is Clemson ranked?
I think they're pushing back up in the top 10, right? Because they've won they're nine now. They've won their last six
Okay.
games.
They're 9. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's a good
Oregon
win for
beat
them.
Boise State, who's
And then
17 now.
so Oregon has a top 25 win and a top five win. This is a big week for Oregon though, because now you're playing another top 25 team. So they got Illinois 6-1,
Right.
and then they got Michigan next week, who's kind of fallen off.
Right. Yeah. So if we're looking for Oregon, Illinois, but they're a 21-point favorite against Illinois. Then
Illinois
Michigan has
sneaky
three
tough.
losses. And then Wisconsin, who's not.
No, Oregon's got a fairly easy schedule. They still got to obviously, if they win out, play the Big Ten championship.
Right. Yeah. Washington, Wisconsin, Michigan, and
Yeah, in
Illinois.
Illinois this
That's
week.
it.
Honestly, I think Illinois is their toughest game
Yeah.
to finish right now. I mean, because with the eye test anyway, Michigan does not look good,
Right.
but it is in Ann Arbor, right? So
Anything can happen.
yeah, it's never easy to go into Michigan.
I want to see, and this will be hilarious to me, looking at schedule wise. Yeah, Indiana.
Dude, Indiana's on fire.
Oh, no, there they do. They do play Ohio State. Okay. Just
Yeah,
seeing if they got out without having to play Ohio State and Oregon,
yeah,
that'd be crazy. But yeah, they do play Ohio State in week 13.
yeah. They're killing it though. Although, is it Indiana that their quarterback is hurt, or is it Illinois? One of the two, their quarterback got hurt. It's also interesting now that Vanderbilt is ranked.
Because you got to make it seem like it's Indiana's quarterback must have got hurt because they played two quarterbacks against Nebraska.
Yeah, I think that was yeah, Rourke, right? He
Rourke,
was
yeah.
having a really good season.
Although then Jackson came in and went 7 of 8 for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns on your Cornhuskers, Steve.
Yeah. Well, that was just like the worst game they've played in a while. This Syracuse Pittsburgh game tomorrow is interesting. Pittsburgh's up to rank 19, they're 6-0, and then Syracuse 5-1. Kyle McCord having a really good season.
All right.
And then Boise State UNLV on Friday. So there's a couple good games before the weekend even.
Right.
And
Ooh,
then Notre Dame Navy, that should be
yeah.
interesting.
I always
Navy up
like
to down
watching that because
24.
of the triple option Navy.
Well, you
Remember when Notre
never
Dame
want to
used to
play
run
that. It doesn't matter what I don't you never want to play a team that runs like that, you know?
that? Right.
Because there's a lot of ball control and you don't get on the field as much as you want, and if you turn the ball over or you have a couple 3-and-outs, it's hard to play against a team like that. Then Illinois, Oregon play, so no 1-20, and then Alabama, Missouri. I mean, I could see Alabama losing that game too. Going to five
I
and
don't think.
three.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Missouri's that good. And
Yeah,
it's
but
in Alabama.
it is in Alabama. That's helpful for them. But Alabama has not looked good in multiple games. The South
Right.
Carolina game did not look good at all. And then Texas Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's now ranked. LSU Texas A&M. That's a huge game
Yeah, that's a big one.
because either so you're both 6-1. You're both undefeated in the SEC. So whoever loses that game is gonna put themselves back a little bit.
All right. It's in College Station, so
Yeah, and LSU is just so up and down. They look like they could be a great team, and then sometimes they just don't look great. So that's the problem. Just back and up and down, very inconsistent. Although, man, yeah, at home I might take Texas A&M there.
right.
I think you're right. Alabama in Alabama, they'll probably beat Missouri. Oregon, I definitely think at home beats Illinois. Oklahoma's just fallen way off. They're playing Ole Miss. I might have to watch this Notre Dame Navy game.
Yeah, that looks like a good game.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I'd love to see because Notre Dame's still 12, even though they lost once. But like I said, Thursday, Friday games are both should be good. Both the Syracuse Pitt and the Boise State UNLV, those should both be good games. So not as powerful as the last couple of weeks, but still some good games this week. Um, Talking last week for a second, Georgia, Texas. I mean, Texas just looked awful.
Yeah. Well, I was going to get into an argument with Wes because he loves um Arch, and I was
Right.
like, Arch really didn't do anything. So he came in and he had a fumble, and then when Ewers went back in, he actually played decent in the second half. But their offensive line was just garbage.
Well, they were just getting ran in the first half, though, and so for
Yeah.
Arch to come in that situation, what do there's nothing he could do.
Right, but I don't think if he would have played, you know what I'm if he would have started, they still would have lost.
Yeah. Although I think he probably would have had though an equivalent second half to Ewers. I'm not a Ewers fan. I don't think he's that good. I don't think Arch is great either. But they were getting just demolished in that first half. They couldn't do anything.
Right.
And Georgia didn't look great either. I mean, Beck, what, we threw two, three interceptions?
Yeah. Well, Beck's, if anyone, I have no faith in Beck at all.
Yeah. That Alabama Tennessee game, Tennessee had just a great second half and kind of dominated them on the ground. I think that's Alabama's kind of downfall this year, their defense.
Right. Well, considering Tennessee should have lost to Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tennessee didn't look that good at all until the second half when they started running the ball.
Yeah. I don't think.
And then Indiana, geez, 56-7. That was just a beating of Nebraska. Kansas State looked good against West Virginia. Big game there. Illinois goes and beats Michigan. It was at home, though. They're at home. So, but Michigan's still 7 points.
Well, Michigan is who we thought they were. They
Right.
just,
And then we missed week 7 recap. That was the Oregon Ohio State game, which that was a crazy game.
right. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Not slide, getting
Yeah. I it really bothers me when they're talking about like Oregon somehow gaming the rules by having 12 men on the field and then the clock's running. That's not Oregon's fault, dude. Ohio State should have known either get up to the line and go or call timeout.
right.
That's your own fault.
Yeah.
Don't say like Oregon somehow gamed the rules, you know? That's the rule, that's the way the game goes, and if you don't know that, that's your own fault.
Yeah. You telling me Belichick wouldn't have done that?
Well,
Saban?
it's just dumb that because then the clock's running and you're not hiking the ball.
Right. And it
And
just goes back
Oregon,
to Ryan Day's not that great of a coach.
yeah. Well, they left a bunch of points on the board too. Like Oregon should have beat them by 2 touchdowns. And because Dan Lanning's not that great of a coach.
Right.
But that was still a big game. LSU Old Miss was a big game. LSU won that game. So this week, that previous week, week 7, that was a big week.
Yeah.
And so yeah, coming into this week, some good games. I don't know that there's anything that's going to really affect the standings too much. I just don't see any games that really are sticking out as far as, changing up a lot of the. Of course, there's been a lot of top 10 teams that have lost to not good
Yeah.
teams. So we'll
And
see
Penn
what.
State going into Wisconsin. It's never easy at Camp Randall.
Yeah, but Wisconsin has not looked good. Although they're back to 5-2, so Penn State undefeated, ranked number 3. Just like I don't know that there's a worse number 3 team that I've seen in a while than Penn State.
Well, we'll find out next week and they play Ohio State. So,
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but they're definitely not great. It's such a pain to watch them play. Their game is ugly. They
Yeah, if
shouldn't
they
have
get
won the
by
USC
Ohio
game.
State, though, if they get by Ohio State, you'll be meeting Oregon. It could be 1-2 in the Big Ten championship.
Right. Yeah, because I mean you have to. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's the thing is like then if Georgia doesn't lose, do they jump Georgia if Penn State beats Ohio State?
I would think so. If they stay undefeated,
Yeah.
I mean,
But they already moved Georgia past them and Penn State's undefeated. Like, how often does that happen?
right. Well, didn't Penn State have a bye last week, though? I think both them and Ohio State had byes.
Yeah, so they only have 6 games played.
Yeah. So that's probably why.
Right. That would be an interest. That'd be interesting if Penn State wins, beats Ohio State. They both Oregon and Penn State go undefeated.
That'd be crazy.
Well, then one of them doesn't get a bye week,
Right.
even though they're 1-2.
Yeah.
That's kind of a brutal part about the college playoff.
Right. So it's basically they have to play a playoff game to make
Right.
sure that they can get a bye.
To get into the playoff, to get their bye.
Right.
That's tough. That is tough. I mean, but SEC kind of does that every year.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm a little more bought into this 12 team playoff, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, because I'm interested to see like a team like Boise State or something with
Well,
Gen
yeah,
team,
you got a couple teams like BYU,
right?
7-0, they're ranked 11th. Who's the other one?
Army or
Iowa
Navy.
State. Iowa State, well, they're what? They're 10th right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 7-0. And then that leaves a team like what? Kansas State, because then you could have them both go, maybe Iowa State. I don't know if they play Kansas State. Let's see. Yeah, they play Kansas State last game of the year. That's kind of be the same situation for these guys.
Yeah, so Kansas State could go and run the table now. BYU could run the table. Well, do they BYU play Iowa State?
No, no, Kansas State, Iowa State, their last game that's tough is their end of the year when they play each other.
Oh wow,
Like
yeah.
both of them should win out.
Yeah, boy, BYU should win out too.
Yeah.
Gosh, BYU might be undefeated.
Well, that's the thing I'm saying. You get Kansas State and Iowa State have to play at the end of the year, right? And that really helps BYU.
Right. Yeah, because BYU's got Central Florida um by Utah, who's not as good as normal Utah teams, Kansas,
Oh, Utah
Arizona
was
State,
horrible this year.
Houston. So we should be looking at BYU being undefeated.
Yeah, they have a conference championship now, though, right?
Yeah, they're in the Big 12, so they'll
Yeah,
play Iowa State or Kansas State.
right. But
But there
let's say
you go again.
Kansas State beats Iowa State, right? Iowa State goes undefeated till they play the Kansas State game. If they lose that game,
They
now
might be out of
Kansas
the
State,
playoffs.
yeah, and Iowa State both have one loss. BYU's undefeated. You have to leave out Iowa State or Kansas State or both.
Well, I would think, let's say if Kansas State beats Iowa State, I think you're going to leave Iowa State out because even if Kansas State loses, their two losses would be to BYU.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and that's brutal for Iowa State. You're ranked 10th right now. You go undefeated the whole season, you lose the last game, and you're out of the playoff.
Right. But that's the thing is like if you're Kansas State and you lose to BYU early, win the rest of your games, beat Iowa State, play BYU again and lose, you're out. But it's
Yeah.
just because of one team.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, are you going to give like here's the thing is if you've got like Iowa, let's just say Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, something like that. All have one loss. And Texas plays Georgia in the SEC championship and loses. Are you going to put Tennessee or Texas A&M ahead of a two-loss Texas team because are you going to punish them for playing in a championship game?
Yeah. In a conference championship. Right. Well, and in the same sense, now you got these at-large bids, right? Then you got to compare them to like an Iowa State or a Kansas State, and are you going to take them over, you know, a one-loss Tennessee team or a two-loss Texas team?
Right. Well, because if you have, so you're going to probably have Boise State if they continue their way, they'll make it right as an at-large,
Yeah,
and then you might have Army or Navy. Um,
Pittsburgh.
well, Pittsburgh's not. They're in the ACC, aren't they?
Oh, so they have to beat Miami or Clemson. Boy, that's tough too. Let's
Um,
see what their schedule looks like. So they got to play Clemson, and Miami doesn't play anybody.
yeah.
So yeah, that's going to cut out one of them. So either Clemson or Miami or Pittsburgh will lose that game. And then the winner will play Miami, and then in the ACC championship.
Yeah, because right now you got like, yeah. So if you're looking at the undefeateds, Oregon, you're only gonna get one from the Big Ten, only one, maybe. So right now you got if maybe Miami or Pitt, right? I guess yeah, you have Indiana, Penn State, and Oregon all undefeated.
Hmm.
And then you have Army and Navy undefeated.
Yeah, but then they play at the end of the year, right?
Yes. So, but
So
if one of those teams goes undefeated, right?
yeah, but so only one of them will go. But yeah, they probably will go if they both go undefeated and then play the last game. Whichever one wins will probably go. Boise State looks like they're on their way because you really don't. What you got four at-large bids, right? Or is
Well,
it six?
it's 12 teams, right?
Right? Is it six conferences that guarantee?
No, just the big four.
Oh, there's only four guarantee.
Yeah, because the Pac-12's gone until they get eight. Because you have the Big 12, the ACC, Big 10, and the SEC.
SEC, the ACC, the ACC,
Big 12,
Big
Big
12,
10,
Big 10,
SEC.
SEC. Right. Okay. So there's eight at-large bids then. So
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of room there.
But if you're taking, so you got four, and then you got four for second places, right?
Right.
That's eight. And then you got two spots available for a third place team, maybe.
Yeah, because you're thinking Boise State and Army or Navy could get the other two,
Right.
which is interesting. So you play up your conference championship, you lose, and then you go into an at-large bid.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that. I mean, I guess that helps in a situation like last year where Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC championship
Right.
because they were number one
Right.
when
Well, and
they
this
lost
would
that
have
game.
helped Florida State too, because they would have said
Right.
we got an at-large bid because we won the conference.
Yeah.
It's good in a way because then it's basically this is our record. You can't any of the big four can do. Because if you win those conferences you're in, no one could tell you any otherwise.
Right. And they get the bye.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Ten's got three top five teams right now.
Yeah. And Indiana's undefeated and is like,
Yeah, 7-0.
you know,
I mean, SEC still has more ranked. Yeah, Tennessee though does not look like a top 10 team to me. And LSU, again, I think they're a little hit and miss, but I guess we'll find out this week with them.
yeah,
Because if Texas A&M loses, they drop down because they're 14 right now. They'll go to 6-2.
right.
Missouri will probably lose to Alabama. They'll go to 6-2. Alabama will be
Alabama.
6-2.
So if Alabama loses, they're out pretty much,
I
right?
mean, they have to be, right? They're 5-2 right now and ranked 15, which is crazy.
What's crazy is they should have lost to South Carolina too.
Yeah. This should be pretty exciting to watch college football play out here. I thought Alabama beginning of season, would do better.
Right. I guess people took Saban for granted.
Yeah. Well, they had so many transfers though when he left,
Right.
and that's a killer.
All you
And
need is
Ohio
Bobo and
State,
Ryan Williams, though. Come on.
yeah. But Ohio State benefited a lot from that because they got a few of those transfers.
Right.
But I mean, right now it still looks like Oregon as the top team. I'm not 100% sold on Georgia because I'm not a Carson Beck fan. Yeah, if I have to pick right now, like I think I'd go with Oregon.
Yeah. I kind of feel like everyone's going to have one loss by the start of the playoff. I kind of have it's going to be one of those years, though.
Yeah. I think it'd be good though if, it's real even going into the playoff. There's no like stick standing out couple teams, especially in the first year of this 12 team playoff.
Right.
So this is going to be interesting to play out. So we'll see how that goes. All right, well let's jump back over to NFL here. So again, we're a couple weeks back, but let's see. We all had a pretty good week. That'd be what week 6 would be our last recap week. Let's see. I think I was 12-2, and you were 11-3. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 games. Yeah, I was 12. I was Yeah, the only game I only missed two games in week six. That was Tennessee. I had Tennessee over Indianapolis. And I think I lost the Cleveland game. Let's see. Although the story of the NFL year this year is Holly's beating me in her picks. Brutal. Yeah, I had Tennessee and they lost to Indianapolis. And then I had the Jets and they lost that Buffalo game, which
Yeah,
they should have won.
mine was I had the Jags beating the Bears, that didn't happen, and the Cards beating the Pack, and also the Titans. So that was
Yeah. But that was a good week. So back on track. Like we've had two good weeks in a row. And then last week you were 12 and 3 or 13 and 2.
yep.
Yeah, and I was 10 and 5. So you had three games on me last week.
Yeah, my only two stupid losses were stupid Falcons, and then the Texans, the Packers again got me.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Houston and the Falcons as well. Um, yeah, that Houston Packers game, that was pretty crazy. The NFC North is just on fire right now. Did you see their point differential stat?
Yeah.
That's nuts. So like they're plus 200 as a division. The worst record technically would be the Bears at 4 and 2. The Packers do have two conference losses though. Both their losses are in conference and in the NFC.
And then Jordan Love has the most interceptions in the NFL right now, even this
Right.
season.
But they're still 5 and 2.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I knew there was that the Lions would be good, and I thought the Packers and Bears would be like mid-range teams. I didn't think Minnesota would be great this year, but here we are, 5 and 1 Detroit, 5 and 1 Minnesota, 5 and 2 Green Bay, 4 and 2 Chicago. So they're looking really strong in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last week, score wise, any games that stuck out last week? Broncos beating up on the Saints. That was brutal.
Well, I that was expected. You see him like nobody for the Saints played.
Oh, that's right, because Olave was out and Carr's out, and
Yeah. Kamara was injured, I think,
yeah.
or didn't play much. And yeah.
Patriots, Drake May came in 276 yards. I mean, obviously Patriots are horrible, but I mean that's good for Drake
Yeah.
May. Get going a little bit.
Jaden Daniels getting hurt for the Commanders.
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing this week or not. He's still questionable.
Yeah. And then the
Chiefs still finding a way to win.
yeah. The Bucks losing both Godwin and Evans.
That was brutal. And Godwin killed that Godwin injury killed my bets on those games. Cardinals Chargers, what an ugly game that was.
Yeah.
Although Herbert, finally threw for some yards. Raiders Rams, ugly game. The Rams just don't look good at all.
Well, they're getting Cup back this week, and then they're talking
Yeah.
about trading him.
I mean, when you're 2-4, I guess you start thinking about, getting some draft capital and
Yeah,
maybe replacing Stafford.
right.
I mean, 154 yards last week. Eagles, the Vikings Lions game, that was a really good game.
Yeah.
The Vikings just keep surprising me. I just keep expecting them to lose. I mean, obviously the Lions won, but man, barely. Colts sitting in second place after their win. Tough loss for the Texans. The Browns just train wreck.
Well, it's finally happening though. You got Nick Chubb back and
Yeah,
James is starting.
which unfortunately, I mean, I think is good for them. I thought Chubb would come back sooner, but their defense just is not,
Same.
yeah, not playing at all. Falcons are just, you just don't know what team's going to show up. So last week was pretty tough, but we did well in our picks. I think I'll have to add it up here, but I mean, you're definitely over 500 again. Probably
I'm
well over it
60,
now after the last two
65 and
weeks.
42.
Okay, so yeah, you're well over it now. So it just took us some weeks to get going, right?
Yep.
Took a while to get back on track. It's the thing with the NFL though, at the beginning of the season, it's a lot tougher.
Well, like this week, I have a bad feeling about this week because I took every single favorite. That's
Yeah.
always scary to me.
Yeah, I think I probably will have a couple different maybe because I gotta gain a little bit back. So I need some of these to come through for me. But let's get into our week 8 picks here. So we got Thursday night Vikings at the Rams. I got the Vikings here. Although Cup coming back helps. I think Stafford that gives them a little more confidence. So I think it won't be a blowout, but I still think the Vikings win even on the road. So I got them, but at least by a touchdown.
Yeah, Vikings are favored by 3, and that seems about right because with Cup back, the Rams are a different team, and it is in LA. And the Vikings are coming off a hard game against the Lions. I could see an upset here, but I'm taking the Vikings here to win by the cover.
Yeah, I would like the Rams to win. I definitely, I think you're right. That's what I think. Cup coming back helps a lot. It changes their offense. You can't then focus so much on Kyron. You can't just stop the run. You're going to have to account for Cup, even though they said he's going to be limited snaps. But full participant practice, so he should be good to go. So both on Minnesota there. Let's see. So Eagles at the Bengals. What do you got?
This is so tough because I don't trust either team at all. But I'm going with the Bengals here. It's at home. they seem to be starting to turn it around. The Eagles, I still can't trust what they're doing, even though they do have AJ Brown back. But with Burrow and Chase and Higgins, I'm taking the Bengals here.
Yeah, I thought we might be different on this one because I took the Bengals as well. I think it'll be a close game. It's in Cincinnati. The Eagles just don't look like they want to like score a lot of points. And I don't think that's good playing on the road against Cincinnati, who has the ability to score points. They just really haven't kind of broken out yet. I mean, even though you look at Burrow, he hasn't thrown for he doesn't have a bad season. He's got 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
All right.
And so you just kind of wonder, what's going on with them. But at home, I think it's a big game for the Bengals. I think the Bengals have to win this game. It's a big game for them. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals to cover barely. I think it'll be close. I'd take them by I'm taking by a field goal. Ravens at the Browns. I just don't know how you could pick the Browns in this game. Even though I think the Browns will start to play better now. Unfortunately, Watson getting hurt is probably the good thing for them. And Chubb will get stronger every game. However, the Ravens are also, I think, going to get stronger as the year goes on. They had a little rough start to the season, but Lamar looked really good. Derrick Henry, unstoppable. And then Mark Andrews starting to play again. So that's tough. It's a tough combo. And so I think the Ravens blow them out. I got them by 14.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's which both teams are trending in different directions. You have the Browns who they're talking about maybe trading Myles Garrett and trading Newsome and kind of blowing it up. Where and then the Ravens are just starting to hit their stride now. So yeah, I got the Ravens winning big here.
Yeah. And Lamar Zahn is looking like potential MVP season. If they keep their record up, win the division, maybe go, 12 and 13 and 4, 12 and 5. He could easily have a MVP.
Yeah.
He's already at 1,800
What
yards
did you
passing, 15 touchdowns, 2 picks. Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Browns, it's too little too late for them. They needed Chubb back a little earlier. They need their defense to play better.
they needed Watson to get hurt earlier.
Unfortunately.
Did you hear the Browns fans cheering when he got hurt?
So bad. I mean, I get it. Nobody likes him. Their team's losing, but I
Here's the
mean,
thing is like, okay, I think a lot of fans will, if you're not a very good person, they'll be okay if you're good at playing a game. But he sucks at playing the game too.
right.
So then it really ticks fans off because then they're like, okay, we look like jerks because we traded for this guy, gave him all this money for this dude that's had all these lawsuits for this, and then he sucks too.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, I get it, but as a sports fan and an athlete, you never want to see somebody get injured. But I guess if it's going to happen to anybody, couldn't happen to a better guy. But again, I mean, I think I don't think it's going to change the Browns season much, but it'll probably put them in a better position to play better football.
It's too bad they traded Amari because it would have been fun with Jameis.
Yeah. Well, yeah, once, I mean, you start, and once you start making those kind of moves and start talking about trading your best players, it's over.
I forgot what I saw, but it's like it's funny. You might see Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston starting this week.
Right. I saw uh Annie Agar. She's so hilarious. You've seen her stuff,
Yeah,
right? She was talking about what was it? It was a couple weeks ago, or at least it was like Joe Flacco and someone else talking about how it was the same as like 2014.
right.
Like the fantasy, it was something about fantasy points and comparing it to 2014. I was like, that's hilarious actually, because it's 2024 now and those guys are still scoring fantasy points and beating teams.
Oh, wasn't it Andy Dalton
Oh,
and
Andy Dalton.
Flacco?
Yeah, Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco. I was like, that's great. Yeah,
It's funny, Steve, because she's a Packer.
I know. I know. But she gets on the Packers a little bit, so
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, but I can't watch her too much because she's definitely a bear hater.
I think she hates Arthur Smith the most, though.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's good though. But yeah, you're right. That's kind of the same idea though, right? Might now see Winston and Mariota. Let's see, Titans at the Lions. What do you got there?
Oh, Lions big. I mean, Mason Rudolph starting. They just traded D-Hop. It wasn't like he was doing anything anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't. The Titans, they're done. And the
Oh yeah.
Lions, yeah, this is the game where it's not going to look pretty at all.
Well, and Detroit's at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 points, big spread. Um, they probably cover though. I could see Detroit, coming off that Vikings win, really kind of just laying it to the Titans. So, I mean, I definitely taking the Lions here. Um, Probably another big blowout. I think both the last two games are both blowouts. So I'll go with the Lions by a couple touchdowns at least. Cardinals, Dolphins. Oh man. Um, Geez, you just don't know what's going to happen in this game. This is a tough one. I think two is back, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what
So
Tyreek said.
I think I'm gonna go with Miami on this one. That was my initial gut. Arizona just did not does not. They're just really up and down. They didn't look good last week at all. But again, then it's Miami. They're a different team with Tua. So if Tua does play, he's healthy. I
Right.
think.
Tua doesn't play, then the Cardinals win. That's
Yeah,
kind of the thing we got here.
right.
And that's where yesterday when I made my picks, I had circled the cards, and then I heard Tua's playing, so then I crossed that out, and I'm taking the Dolphins.
Well, it's the way McDaniels coaches. He coaches so different, you know. You watch the way he's been coaching these last few games or ever since Tua, went out, and he's just like running the ball the whole game, even in situations where you shouldn't be running the ball. And
Trust me,
then,
someone who
yeah.
has Tyreek Hill and a few of my teams getting me like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tyreek's happy.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw him talking about that. He's like, it just makes me smile to have Tua back. So I'm gonna go with the Dolphins here. I'm gonna take the Dolphins at home if Tua plays, and I got them to cover. I think they'll win by 6.
Yeah, I agree. If Tua doesn't play, though, it's a different story. But since we're
Yeah.
doing it now, we're going to go Dolphins.
All right.
Russ is going to be able to pick tomorrow or something and get that.
Yeah, but he won't know what we picked.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Game of the week. Jets and Patriots.
Oof.
What do you got here?
This is going to be great because the Jets are going to win and everyone's going to be like, oh, it's so great. We got Devontae. Da, 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 da." And then they're going to suck again. This is just the Patriots. You're not a good team, Jets. Way to go, Devontae. You went from crap to crap.
Yeah.
So have fun with that. Out on their sidelines now. So yeah, I got the Jets. I don't know. I don't think they cover though.
Yeah, it's
The
close.
It's a 7 points, but I don't think the Jets are that good, and their defense isn't as good as it used to be. So I still have the Jets winning though.
Yeah, I actually am right on the edge of that spread. So I picked the spread before I looked at the spread, and I have it at 7. And that says it's 7. So I'll take the Jet. I'm taking the Jets as well, even though they're on the road, which makes me think they won't cover as well. But I do think they'll win. The Patriots just aren't good.
I will laugh so hard if the Jets lose to the Patriots though.
Yeah, it'll be really bad. And then Aaron Rodgers will probably just quit. He'll just
Well,
walk
the
off
thing
the
is, I've also
field.
seen is Devontae is probably a free agent at the end of the year because of the
Yeah.
way his contract is set. So Jets better get it together here.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You already got Garrett Wilson. Yeah, he didn't look great last week, but he's a good receiver. You're adding one of the better receivers in the league in Devontae Adams. Alan Lazard's playing better. You got a good running back. Your line's not horrible. Like, what's going on?
Rodgers is done. I mean, what? He targeted Devontae like 11 times
Yeah.
or 9 or 11, and he had 3 catches for 30 yards.
Yeah, he also cost me a bunch of money.
I would have told you that.
You're gonna throw the ball at him that many times, at least throw him a touchdown. But I'll tell you, Aaron Rodgers, he looks bad. And he can blame anybody else he wants, but he's holding the ball longer than he always has. He's not moving in the pocket like he used to do. He looks like a 40-year-old quarterback.
Well, that's what irritated me also was the game before they got Adams and Rodgers threw the pass to Mike Williams, like 5, 6, 7 yards short.
Yeah.
And then he gets and says, well, Mike Williams didn't. If he would have thrown him the ball deep, he would have scored a touchdown. He
Yeah.
had the guy beat.
Well, you look at that Buffalo game, right? They should have won that game. If they had won that Buffalo game, they go to 3, it'd have been 3-3, right? Or yeah,
Yeah.
3-3. But it would have put them like even with Buffalo almost. It would have been like a 1 game difference. Then you could go in and possibly win the Pittsburgh game and then be, right there in the division. But now they're 2-5. So that was a killer for them to lose that Buffalo game that they should have won.
Right.
So that kind of like changed their whole season. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens the rest of the season with them. I think they do win this game. Still puts them at 3-5, not in the greatest position, but we'll see where they go from there. Big game in the NFC South here. Falcons at the Bucks. The Bucks just are now beat up. And I don't know. For this reason, I'm taking the Falcons, even though it's in Tampa. I don't. The Tampa has decent running backs, but you just really lost your two playmakers. Baker, he's having a good season, a lot of yards. He's leading the league in touchdowns, but you just lost the two guys that catch those touchdowns.
Right. Well, that's what Palmer and McMillan are going to have to step up.
Yeah, and that's a tough ask, you know, for those two guys because they're not, it's not like they're bad, but they're not Evans and Godwin.
Well, though I know they drafted McMillan to take over for one of them
Right.
because Godwin's a free agent at the end of the year, and I think Evans did he sign, he might be signed for another year or so. So I feel like McMillan was supposed to be like this was his almost red shirt to get ready to take over for Godwin. So he's
Now
taking over now.
he's thrown in pretty early. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Normally, I would say Tampa's healthy at home. They should win this game, but Atlanta on the road's a favorite, and I'm gonna go with Atlanta here. I think they'll have a big game throwing the ball, so I'm gonna go with the Falcons.
Yeah, I can't. I think the Falcons are garbage, but they are lucking out big time with the injuries in that division. I mean,
Yeah, Saints.
Saints losing Carr and yeah. So yeah, I'm taking the Falcons here too by default. I mean, because we haven't seen. Who knows? Maybe Palmer and McMillan and Shepard come through, and you have a lot of Bucky Irving and White, but I just, I think I can't trust them yet until I see them.
Yeah. Well, and Bucky's not completely healthy either, so he'll play, but he's not 100%.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to Falcons here. Let's see. Packers at the Jags. What do you got there?
Ugh. I'm taking the Packers, but I could really see them losing this game. This is a game that looks like they could lose because it's in Jacksonville and Jordan Love is not playing well.
No.
But I have picked against the Packers the last 2 weeks and they keep winning. So I got to take the Packers here.
Well, you know what's going to happen now.
I hope. I hope they
I,
lose.
I do hope they lose as well. Um, but I'm kind of the same way. I don't trust the Jags. They have talent, and I just don't know what's going on with them. Lawrence is not having a horrible year. He's 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,500 yards. Brian Thomas I mean, he's coming on. So I could see the Jags winning this game. I think ETN's back too, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter though. I mean, Big Tank is taking over.
Yeah, well, he's a beast. So that could be a real nice 1-2 punch for them. But yeah, I still got to go with the Packers here, and I think they'll cover because it's only 4. Man, betting on the Packers again. This is brutal. Colts Texans. This is a big game for these two. Colts, they just keep hanging around. And Texans, you keep wanting to think that they're going to be this breakout, top team in the AFC, but then they have weeks where they just look okay or barely scraping by. They're 5-2, but I feel like that they're barely winning games.
Right.
But they're at home. And the Colts, they've had injuries too. So I'm sticking with the Texans here. I think it was a tough loss last week for them. They come back home. They handle business against the Colts. 5 point spread. I think they cover. I think they'll win by 9.
Yeah, Colts are one of those teams, like for betting purposes, I would always stay away from their game because you never know what you're going to get. They could beat the Texans. They could beat any team in the NFL, I think,
Right.
but then they could lose to any team in the NFL also. So, Jonathan Taylor's back, but like, yeah, it's at home for the Texans. They need this win after last week. I think what they beat the Colts in week 1
Yeah.
in Indianapolis. It was a close game, but yeah, I'm taking the Texans to cover.
Another one of these game of the weeks. Saints versus the Chargers.
Mm.
What do you got there?
You got to go Chargers by default. Saints, I mean, at the beginning of the year, it's so funny. Everyone was like Mina Kimes and all like, oh man, Spencer Rattler is going to take Carr's job. Not so fast. That's not happening. He did not look good.
No.
It's not going to be a good game. The Chargers are going to win, but yeah, it's not. I feel bad for Saints fans because this is not going. After those first few weeks, they're riding high, and now it's like, whew,
What a letdown.
yeah,
Two, like you just blow a couple teams out to start, and then what, you lose 5 in a row?
yeah,
And now on top of all that, you're just injured.
yeah.
And now Alvin Kamara demanding a trade.
Well, I don't know about that. He got an extension.
I know, but he came out and he's like, I want to get traded.
Yeah, when was that?
Just this last week.
Oh yeah, but then yeah, today he got an extension, so
Oh
that
yeah.
was
So they're like, we're not trading you. Here's some more money.
yep, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints just don't look great. And the Chargers, it's tough to know whether they're going to come around or not. Um, I mean, Herbert, he had obviously a great passing game, but their team, they didn't look great, moving the ball, even though he threw for 350 yards. Dobbins looked like he was going to be like this great running back, but he's slowed down. They really, I think, need to figure out their team camp, like what they really want to do. And
Right,
that's interesting because they have Harbaugh, who you would think, would have an established game plan.
right. Well, I think it's hard because you have Herbert,
Right.
and it's not like it's like he's got all these claws and stuff, but you want him just to hand the ball off? No, that doesn't work.
No,
But he has
because
no
he
receivers.
throw the ball, right. But yeah, then you come back to that though. It's like who do you really want to target? Lad McConkey? Like that's your guy? I mean, maybe he's the next Julian Edelman.
Cooper Cup.
But I don't know. I mean, I got to take the Chargers here though, just because the Saints are dysfunctional right now, and it's at home for the Chargers. Herbert probably throws for 300. Dobbins probably runs for 100, and then they barely win the game.
Yep.
That's kind of their MO. But they're 3-3. And this is a big game for them. If they can get to 4-3, you start thinking about playoffs, right?
Right.
And so, and I know Jim Hartman knows that, so he's going to have them playing. Let's see. Bills at the Seahawks. This is a really interesting game, and we might be different on this one because at home, the Seahawks haven't looked great in their last couple games, but it's hard for me to bet against the Seahawks at home because they have such an advantage up there. And even though the Bills are 5-2, they don't look great. So I think the Seahawks are in one of those games where they have to go home and win. And it comes down to how Josh Allen plays. He's been a little bit hit and miss. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks here. And they don't need to cover because they're the underdogs.
Seahawks are 2-3 at home this year. Their two wins are to the Broncos in week one, and then to what was it? The Dolphins without Tua.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
They lost to the Giants at home.
That
They
was a
got
brutal loss, though.
they got demolished by the Falcons last week. DK Metcalf is injured. Yeah, I'm taking the Bills here.
No, they beat the Falcons last week.
Did they? Oh, right. I picked the Falcons.
Yeah, no, they killed the
They
Falcons.
killed the Falcons last week. Well, it's not going to happen 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, I don't trust him. And yeah, with DK not being fully healthy, and the Bills, I know the Bills didn't play a very good game though against the. Well, they
No.
in the first half they
Yeah, I
turned it
mean,
on.
but you're also playing the Titans.
Yeah,
And then you played the Jets previous game, you lost the Texans, you lost the Ravens, you beat the Jags, the Dolphins, and the Cardinals, so 5-2 for
but that's
them
about the
is
Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks are right in that same. I don't think
yeah,
they're middle of the road. They're a
yeah.
middle road team, fringe playoff team. So I think that's the teams the Bills beat up on. So I got the Bills winning.
Yeah, this is probably our only swing game. Well, we might have another one. But I don't know. Watching the Bills the last 2 weeks, I'm just not impressed. They didn't look great against bad teams. And so we'll see how that one plays out, but I got to stick with the Seahawks there. Panthers Broncos. What do you got there?
Well, I don't know if this is true, and I gotta figure this out. I saw something and I'm like, really? That's ridiculous. Uh, is Bryce Young starting?
Yeah, Andy Dalton got in a car accident.
Wow.
So back to Bryce Young.
What a dumpster fire. I gotta take the Broncos because it's at home and they've been playing all right. And I don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see. Maybe these few weeks, maybe Bryce Young comes out going, see, I'll show you.
Right.
But even when Andy Dalton was playing well, they were losing by 20. So
Well, the only win they have was that Raiders game, and
yeah,
it's kind of a
where
fluke.
Dalton played out of his mind.
Right. So the Panthers just aren't good.
No.
The Broncos are 4-3. They're playing at home, you know, not like they've really beat anybody either, but they're better than the Panthers.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, I'm still not sold on Bo Nix as a franchise quarterback. He's good enough. I don't know that he's ever going to win you a Super Bowl, but he may get you to the playoffs.
Right.
But he definitely is good enough to beat the Panthers. Now, 10-point spread, I don't know about that. So I don't know that they cover.
So my have 8.5, so it must have gone up a point and a half once they found out Bryce Young was starting.
Right.
Dang.
It got worse. Well, this is also ESPN spread, so I don't know that that's like Vegas line.
Let's see if it has changed here. Oh yeah, I got 9.5. So it did go up a full point.
Yeah. But I mean, you're right though. I mean, here's the thing. Like a guy like Bryce Young, look, he's not the biggest quarterback. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he's a decent quarterback and getting benched for a while might be the best thing that happened to him. And to be honest, the Broncos, they haven't played anybody. They're not great. Their defense is looking pretty good though, which is surprising since they got rid of like all their good defensive players.
Well, yeah, Surtain still, Surtain.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess you can't go with the Panthers at all. So, all right, Chiefs at the Raiders.
Good.
I mean, the Chiefs are gonna stay undefeated. Mahomes has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on the season, and they're 6-0. The only bright spot for the Raiders is Brock Bowers. Although O'Connell is now injured too, right? So it's back to Minshew.
Yep. Or Desmond Ritter.
I mean, it can't hurt, right? Can't get any worse. Although the Raiders that here's the thing, even the Rams game last week, they were in the game. There were a couple questionable coaching decisions. Um, they were 2-2 at one point. They should have been 3-1 because they shouldn't have lost to the Panthers. I don't know that losing Devontae Adams is that big of a deal for them. They're at
It's
home. So is it a possibility that they could win this game? Yeah, because the Chiefs aren't playing great. They just keep winning.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what we talked about at the beginning of the year. For the Raiders to win games, the offense doesn't needs to not screw things up. Well, guess what? The offense is screwing things up. Gardner Minshew had 3 interceptions last week.
Right.
They've had like 3 turnovers in the last 3 games. That's why they lose. The defense is not playing bad. It's just their offense just
Yeah,
sucks.
putting them in, not helping them at all, putting them in bad positions. However, lately the Raiders have been a little bit of thorn in the Chiefs' side.
But that
So
might be also the Chiefs now pissed, and they might be an ugly game.
yeah, I mean it's a 10-point spread. I have the Chiefs to cover just because, it's not looking good right now for the Raiders.
They're not competitive. They haven't
Yeah,
been competitive in the last month. Not since, yeah, since they beat the Browns, which
right.
doesn't say much.
So yeah, I got to go with the Chiefs here to cover.
Yeah, me too.
But I'd love to see the Raiders win that game.
So
Just
now
because,
I got to talk to Wes because for me, it's Shador or Cam Ward, right?
right.
Maybe Jalen Milrow, but it's between those three. They have to get one of those three.
Although, well, I guess you got multiple options, right? Because Patriots aren't going to go quarterback again. They got Drake May. Titans,
Panthers will.
Browns are going to go quarterback for sure.
Yeah.
The Titans could go quarterback again.
Right. Rams, but they lost to the Rams, so
Yeah, they lost to the Rams. So yeah, I mean, they have a good
Saints
chance.
might want one.
But maybe the Panthers go quarterback
Yeah, they
again.
would though.
It wouldn't surprise me if the Panthers went quarterback again.
But that's fine. They can have Ewers and Beck.
Yeah. No, Cam Ward. I would definitely take Cam Ward. If I'm drafting a quarterback.
Cam Ward is my number one, then Shador, then Milrow.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. I don't want yours or back.
What about Dylan Gabriel?
No.
He's got a lot of good. He can run. He's got a great arm.
They don't get those top three, then they go Ashton Genty and then just run the ball the whole game.
Get some line in free agency.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they're on their way to a top five pick, so we'll see.
Well, that's very okay. So you've had three top 10 quarterbacks you've gotten in the last.
Yeah.
The Raiders haven't had a top 10 quarterback since Jamarcus Russell.
Well, and that's the thing, though. It's like it doesn't necessarily mean equate to anything.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not helping the Panthers. It's didn't help the well, we don't know the Patriots yet, because they really haven't played Drake May much, but help the Commanders, help the Texans. So it's kind of a hit or miss thing.
Yeah, but I haven't even had one yet. I haven't had a top five drafted
No,
quarterback yet.
no, you probably won't, dude. They're something about the Raiders drafting is just for the last, I don't know, a long time. It hasn't been
Nope.
good.
This draft has been pretty good though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Bowers was a great pick. That's, but
And
then
Jackson Powers, and then
that
they got
sets you up for
Blades.
Carson Beck, though. They're like, oh, teammates.
Yeah. It'll be more, I think Wes, I don't know what Wes would do if that happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I expect a little more from the Raiders this year, and so I mean, obviously, the year's not over. I mean,
It's not looking good.
it's definitely not looking good though.
They have lots of injuries and I was like, oh, sweet, man, Gardner Minshew's not bad. No, he's bad.
He's real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have the hardest schedule to finish though. You got the Chiefs twice, but outside of that, I mean, Bengals have been playing great. Broncos,
They got blown out by the Steelers, the Broncos, the Panthers. Come on.
yeah,
They're not good.
yeah. Well, it sucks this early in the year to be playing for the draft, but might be where you're at now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's the big one. Bears and Commanders. As it doesn't, I don't, they haven't made a decision on Jaden Daniels yet, but I don't think he's going to play. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't think it matters if he plays the way Mariota ran the team. Like he looked basically like an older version of Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels obviously a lot more explosive, but I think this is a big game for the Bears. This is going to determine how the rest of their season goes. And my hope is that they come out and they play well. And I'm going to take them to win this game, even on the road. They are the favorite, technically. They got to keep pace. Like you can't lose too many games because you're going to start your division games here soon. And this is a must-win game for the Bears.
Yeah.
Defense looking good. Caleb Williams coming around. They have the talent. They just need the line to play. The line doesn't play, they lose. Line plays decent. They don't have to play great. They just have to play decent. So I got the Bears. I think they'll cover that three, not by much, but I'm taking the Bears on this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bears also. I don't think Jaden. I don't think he's playing. If he was playing, I'd actually take the Commanders. But with I'm going to take the Bears here because I think, like I said, Caleb Williams is a good quarterback and he's not that bad compared to like you guys were talking about a few weeks ago. He's coming around. He's playing a lot better. He's just a rookie. Not all rookies can come in and light up the world on fire. So I got the Bears here.
Yeah, no, he's come around slower, or he came around initially slower than I'd hoped. But the last three games, even though they're not against great teams, so albeit we understand who they're playing. But he's hitting the open passes, which was killing him in the first few games. Like he was just missing open passes, overthrowing or underthrowing or missing back shoulders.
I think that helps, it helps having Keenan Allen back.
Yeah, a good target who's reliable, good hands. But this is a big game, so this will be one that I will have my eye on this weekend because we got to win this one. Because if you go 4-3 here, it doesn't look like the Lions and the Vikings are slowing down. So it's a must win here for the Bears. All right, Cowboys 49ers. Who would have thought 3-3 and 3-4 right here?
Well, we wouldn't have thought about the Niners. We pretty much said that the Cowboys are going to suck this year, though. When you don't spend any money on free agency,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, Derrick Henry's out there. He's from Dallas. Bring him in." No,
No. Yeah. What do you
yeah.
got
So
on this
that's
one?
I got the Niners here. I can't trust the Cowboys at all. Jordan Mason's number two in the league in rushing. It will be interesting without Ayuk is out, so we're going to
Right.
see a lot more. Pearsall will be playing, so we'll see what's going on there. And then Debo, they said he'll be back. So, but I can't trust the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's a tough one. The 49ers are banged up though. They're at home, and I think the thing is you got to just hammer Mason, right? Control the ball. You got to get Kittle involved. But their defense hasn't looked as good as I thought it would this year either. But at home, 49ers by 4. Yeah, I'll take the 49ers to cover as well. I have my 7. I'm gonna stick with that. Purdy's thrown for 1,800 yards, surprisingly. That's kind of crazy. But I guess they've played 7 games. Monday night, last game, Giants Steelers. God, man, I hate to say it, but the Steelers almost looked a lot better with Russell Wilson the other night. Like a lot better. They had a
That's
little bit of a slow start him getting going, but once he got going, he was making the right throws, had a lot of touch on his ball. Their defense is just a nightmare. You don't want to play the Steelers at home. Daniel Jones probably throws 2, 3 interceptions. Steelers at home, cover at least by 10.
Here's another one where I was telling you so that about Russell Wilson is a lot better than Justin Fields, and it shows. Justin Fields can do his thing, but Wilson can actually score points. And Fields won games because he wasn't making mistakes, but Wilson can actually help the Steelers win games by him doing things. And so, yeah, I got the Steelers here, at least covering. You never know, though. It's so weird with the Giants. 'Cause sometimes they're like, oh, wait, they're playing pretty good, but then I don't think so. I don't
Well,
think
yeah.
Daniel Jones is the new Kirk Cousins on primetime. He doesn't play well in primetime.
He's not having a horrible season. His
No, he
QBR is
doesn't.
low.
His primetime numbers are horrible, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw the post game with Malik Neighbors, but they said, well, how did you react to their game plan against you, and they kind of shut you down. And he's like, I don't know if you watched the game, but I was open out there.
Oh man, it's bad.
He's like, they just weren't throwing me the ball. So you have to get Neighbors involved, right?
Right.
That's the only way you win this game. But Pickens is looking really good. There, Najee's coming around. Russell Wilson, if he plays like he did the other night, I just don't think the Giants have much of a chance. And then the Steelers go to 6-2.
Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of a surprise. I didn't think they'd be horrible, but man, I would not have put them at 6-2 right now.
Right.
With a plus 60 differential.
They don't turn the ball over.
Yeah. Well, and then Fields did a good job of that, I mean, he wasn't turning the ball over either. But I think I hate to agree with the announcers, but they were talking about the throw that Russell Wilson made over the shoulder into the end zone, and how he put some lob on it and some touch in it, where Justin Fields kind of fires it in there,
Right.
and I think that's a big difference when you have those when you're talking about scoring, you're talking about red zone, getting touchdowns. You say he helps them score. That's kind of the advantage there, right? He has more touch on his ball. He's able to, throw it to the corner of the end zone, get it over the top of the DB, things like that. So Steelers, well on their way there. See what the rest of their schedule looks like. Oh, they still have some tough games though. So they got the Ravens twice, they got the Chiefs, they got the Bengals twice, the Eagles. So not an easy road for the Steelers. Yeah, they haven't played the toughest teams up to this point. All right, so only a couple wait, just the one?
I think so.
That's not going to help me gain any ground.
All right. It's just the Bill Seahawks.
Yeah. See. Miami. Yeah, I think it is.
That's crazy.
All right.
That means we're going to do horrible.
We might have a real bad week. So we'll see how that plays out. Well, and speaking of a week, we also are playing on fantasy this week.
The two number one teams.
Yeah. So this is let's see. Yeah, you're scheduled to score a few more points than me. I mean, both of us have a two-game
Cushion.
lead in our division, so it's not that big of a game, but I'm on that 6-game winning streak, so
Oh, yeah, because I lost to Josh because I had bye weeks and I had like five guys not playing.
Yeah.
So I had to like,
Yeah, I was looking at the matchup this week. So you look at the our matchup, what we got going on here. You really need Cup and Tyreek Hill because they haven't been giving you a lot. Cup obviously being hurt and Tyreek Hill not having Tua. I think that's going to be your if you stay with that lineup, that's going to be your where you win or lose with those two.
yeah, it's fine though, because Derrick Henry and Bowers and Aaron Jones will pick up the pay.
Yeah. Yeah, Bauer's been having big games, so that's helpful. Yeah, and Henry obviously probably have a good game. Aaron Jones playing the Rams. Not a lot of waiver wire pickups lately.
Well, I picked up Mark Andrews.
Oh, jeez.
I picked up Andrews and I picked up McMillan from Tampa.
Yeah, McMillan. I should have got him. And now I have both Jacksonville running backs now that ETN's back.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to do something about that.
Oh yeah, because yours is going to come down to, man, I hate this. I'm gonna have to wait till Monday night.
Yeah, and you got a couple going Thursday night, so
Yeah.
you're going early, and then mine's finishing late.
Yeah, you got three players on Monday night.
You know, it was really funny though. I was looking at the points for, points against. Not only am I'm scoring the most, but I'm getting the least scored against me. So I
That's
have like
always
almost
good.
a 300 point spread difference.
Jeez. Yeah, you're crushing us all.
Yeah, in points, right?
Yeah, because I'm second
929.
in points and you got a 70, 80 point lead on me.
Yeah. But I thought that was funny. It's like I have the most points scored and then the least points scored against me.
We both got 80% to make the playoffs, though. It's good to come from where we were told by the
Right, we were
computer
9
that
and 10, right? Yeah,
we were the worst two teams.
after the draft.
Yeah, you're up 9 spots. I'm up seven.
Yeah, because
Draft day, I
I
was
was dead
ninth
last.
and you were 10th.
Yep. Yeah, the draft did not go the way I wanted it to go, that's for sure. But I mean, it's all about waiver wire pickups and playing the right guys at the right time. So this will be a big one though. Number one and number two.
Yeah, because I feel if I can squeak this out, I'm feeling good about making the playoffs because the Big Mike and Wes have tough games.
Yeah, and Big Mike's I hadn't changed his team and now he's got IR and so and Randy's team fell off. He looked like he was going to do great first couple games and then just hasn't done anything.
Yeah, so if I could get a 3 game lead, I might have to rest some starters.
Yeah, my division's tough because everybody's 4-3 behind
Yeah,
me.
yours is tough.
Yeah. Well, and everybody plays too. Like they're all changing their team. You got Raul and Big Mike who haven't changed their team.
Right.
And then, Randy doesn't play fantasy football, so he's just learning.
I know your sister's right behind you.
I know.
She
Uh,
it's McCaffrey back.
I can't lose this one. I gotta win this week. I gotta keep that 2 game buffer.
Yeah, because if you look, your sister's got McCaffrey and Chubb.
I know.
She's going
Yeah.
to be scary to play.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was really brutal when Olave was in before Carr was hurt and Olave was healthy.
Right.
And then A Chain, I was like, man, it's just stacked.
I know for some reason I get to play her twice, even though it's outside of comp division.
Yeah. Well, this is a big week, so we'll see. We'll get the update here and see how it goes.
Yeah, talk about how Wes lost to you by what, 5, 6 points, and it's
Oh
because of
man,
Jaden Daniels and Mike Evans both getting hurt.
I got lucky there because my team didn't particularly play well last week, and but yeah, Daniel's going out, and then that because it looked like when Mike Evans got that first touchdown, I was like, oh man, I'm
It's
gonna
over.
lose.
Yeah, I thought so too. And then I'm like, why isn't Evans doing anything? And I'm like, oh, he's hurt.
Yeah. And then all McBride had to do was just get a few catches.
Yeah.
So I'll take it. I'll take it. I guess you sometimes better be lucky than good, right?
Yeah, it happens.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening,
Go
and we'll
Dodgers.
update you. What's up?
Said go Dodgers. World
Oh
Series
yeah.
starts Friday.
Oh, Friday, huh?
Yeah.
Yankees, Dodgers.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and basketball just started too.
Yeah. I don't care about basketball for a while.
Yeah, not until the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it for baseball. So
Yeah.
see how that goes. All right, well, we'll see you guys all next time.